The reality is that she has no idea the whole depth of it, because I've not had time to sit down with her on a one-to-one and do it. But I think she's got a rough idea. She's made massive inroads with me and made a massive impact. I don't realise she realises how magnificent it is. Because believe you me, if you see me now, in comparison to a year ago, you'll be like, that's not the same person. I'm diabetic 24 years, and it's been taking its toll. I've never been a great diabetic. I've always struggled with it, always. And what happened was that I went blind in March of last year, to the point that I had to go long-term sick from work. I'd already been off with depression and anxiety because of things that have been happening in my life that I've always struggled with long-term. To give you some scope, the timeline, I was in the army for 15 years. I was in the police for 24 years. In the army, I served a tour in Bosnia in the 90s, which was horrific. I served in Northern Ireland. I was in a helicopter crash out there, and that had a massive impact on everything. I survived it, and I was able to cope with it throughout the years. I even did a flying tour in Bosnia, but it's been like the last 8 years it's come back in and it's haunted me. So I was really kind of struggling with everything, and episodes at work had negative impacts in the fact that I was removed from some jobs. I was a teacher up at the police college for 4 years, very successfully, but in the last 2 months things started to go wrong in my life, so I had to withdraw from that, or they withdrew me. I worked at Forth Valley Hospital for 3 years, which was fantastic, but then they made the decision to remove me from there, and I couldn't see any rationale why I was being removed from jobs. I suspect in the hindsight part of me realises that there was performance issues, there was well-being issues that they could see and I couldn't. So I know that everything that happened was coming from a good place. So a year ago, I'd gone blind. I was working from home within the fraud unit, and I was doing a lot of inroads, and then I couldn't read. And it was like, wow, I couldn't see anything. So I was just sat here, and I was so isolated, asking for help and not getting any, that I went on what I would say is a massive downward spiral about worth, value, my own contribution to not just society. I'm not like that, but those around me. I used to go around and visit everyone and do things, and then I'd become nothing. I made no contribution to other people's lives. It's tough to talk about, actually, and that worth, and that I found myself asking my questions. Well, what difference would it make if I was here or if I wasn't? And I started to have these really, really dark thoughts, and that's on the emotional and the mental side of things. However, I was also encountering the physical side of illnesses, the long-term diabetes. I've got problems with feet. I'm on 16 tablets a day, 8 injections, now 6 eye drops. There's all sorts of things. And it's like, hang on a minute, I've got to spend off my time remembering what meds I need just so I can feel normal. So I spent a lot of my time feeling terrible, garbage, unhealthy and stuff. My diet went downhill because I couldn't cook, and I was living on sandwiches because they were the safest thing I could make. That and cup of soups. A cup of soup's great, by the way. But there was a tunnel. There was no light. No light at the end of the tunnel. There was nothing. And I kept feeling dizzy. I was involved with the cadets, and I went down on a course, and I couldn't stand it. We were in the field. I couldn't stand. I was collapsing and stuff, feeling dizzy and things. I've had some falls in the house. So I went over, and one of the doctors I gave samples and stuff like that. Got referred for an endoscopy. I'm still waiting for that. That's 3 years, like 2 years on or something. And I got really worried about it. And I was thinking, when I have a downstairs toilet, so when I was getting up in the night, I was having to bum shuffle down the stairs like a 2-year-old because I was dizzy. And as a 54-year-old, that's really quite humbling. And then it was one day, I think it was back from the course in August, and it was early September. It was in the first week of September. I got a text message: "Fallin practice, want to see you 2 o'clock at the GP. Please attend." So I was like, okay. Now I do as a patient, I'm one of these ones. I do as I'm told. I follow the letter to the law. So I went over there, and it was a Dr. Scott who was a trainee GP. turns out, a very, very competent person. I sat there and she said, what can I do for you? I was like, what can I do for you? And we had this kind of moment. She's like, and I showed her the text. I said, you want to see me? And she's going, rattle through. She's like, there's nothing on here. And I was like, and it was that. And I caught her looking at me. Now, I've got no focal vision, but I've got good peripheral, certainly in this eye. And I caught her looking at me. And I was like, and she said, are you okay? And I went, no. One word. And she just went, wow. And it was so intuitive that she said, you know, I don't know what's happening here, however. And she reached into her satchel, pulled out this leaflet saying, we have a girl called Danielle, who's a community links worker. She's new service. Would you consider it? And at that point, I'm a cynic when it comes to services and outreach programs. I've seen within the police a lot of tried, a lot of failure, some successes. And I don't know what it was. I think it was that look she gave me. And the fact that she saw something that no one else had seen. That I just thought, you know what? Yes. Yeah, I'll give it a go. And I took the leaflet. So I came home, got the magnifying glass out, and I was looking. I was like, looks quite interesting. Be good if it works. And then within 2 hours, I got a phone call from a girl called Danielle. And we spoke. And some of the stuff that she said resonated with me. But there's the one thing that made me realise I needed to commit to this was Danielle's credibility. The credibility has been the most significant thing about my relationship with Danielle, is I listen to her because she knows what she's talking about. And she never talks out with her own realms of experience. She always speaks about what she did when she was feeling like this, or the dangers of feeling like that, or thinking like that. And I'm like, well, everything makes sense. I've had this, my life with Danielle is a jigsaw piece where all the bits are fitting and making a bigger picture. She started off with some low-level exercises, and they were low-level, very rudimentary. And it put me a lot of ease that actually there was somebody there that was actually going to, not so much listen, but actually, it's a really weird thing that was going to contribute to a way out of how I was feeling, and it was going to maybe give me a right bit of guidance and direction, which is indeed what I got. So the following week it was about, right, try, you know, your world's really negative right now, so try and turn it around and think of the positive things. So it was this gratitude board, and it's been so simple but so significant. It's like 5 things you're grateful for. Every morning, write them down, 5 things you're grateful for. I went and bought a whiteboard, and it's in my bedroom now, and I get up in the morning and I scribble on it. And there's the things to do, and yeah, I've got the things to do, and I've developed it further. Instead of 5 things I want to do for the day, I have long-term things to do, short-term and immediate things, like maxi, mini and midi and all of that, which it really helps put my mind into an organised state, because it was chaotic. And I found the gratitude board. I would come down at 8:30 in the morning, having spent 10 minutes doing it, thinking, actually, I feel really good. I feel good. It's like, my life used to be every silver lining had a cloud, right? But now it's every cloud has a silver lining, and I focus on the silver linings, because, hey, the cloud's there. I'm not going to give it any mileage throughout my day. And it started to have a positive impact on me pretty much immediately. It was like day 3 of this, I was like, no, I can't be feeling good after 3 days, constantly for 3 days. This is not right. And I just, and because I'm actually a mental health first aider myself, and I do the understandings of like journeys, and you never get the destinations and stuff like that, I found myself kind of treating myself to a point by saying, you know, I get this, I get why that's working. But it wasn't just plain sailing. I mean, over the coming months, we developed a relationship of complete trust, but it wasn't forced. It was very organic. And I think it was Danielle's ability to listen and to actually assimilate that information and then say, well, hang on a minute, think about this side of things. And there was always an alternative. In reality, what I now know is that alternative should have been my default position. I was because I'd been miserable and lonely and in the doldrums for so long. That became my new normal, and it was switching back. So there was a lot of things about helping me re-understand and reinterpret what I was thinking. I'd have bad days. Danielle said it's okay to have bad days. Well, I didn't think it was. But I quickly learned, you have a bad day, you take your cassette out, you let the day wash over you, and you start again the next day with your gratitude board. That's my default every morning. The only thing I do before a gratitude board is my morning constitution. That's it. And then I go straight back up, and if I don't do it, something's afoot. When I was in hospital for a week, 2 weeks back, I had to do it mentally. But I'm a very visual person. So I was kind of off my porridge for a few days thinking, nah, I've done something. There's something missing in my day of part of my structured routine, and that's the gratitude board. I can't place emphasis on such a simple strategy, but has so impacttive on me, was that alone. One of Danielle's strengths is her ability to listen. She doesn't hear, she listens. She's active in her listening. She doesn't miss a trick. And she listens to you, and she will let you prattle on about anything about your day, whether it's good, bad or ugly. She'll just let you go on, and then she'll pick out the bits and then focus you back in and say, well, in relation to this, why did you feel like that? And it's like, you're overthinking. And that was a statement, it's like, you're overthinking that. And I was like, excuse me? But then there came the explanation, and everything she said, declaration-wise, suggestion, was backed up. And not necessarily by medical science or evidence, but by common sense. And I do that. So from a community links perspective, I've been speaking to friends within the military all over the UK, friends from the police all over the central Forth Valley belt, and everybody saying that this service is life-changing, because it is. Had that text message, for whatever reason, the text gods never sent that message, I would be a completely different person if I'd still be here. I had thoughts of self-harm. I had thoughts of doing myself away, because what contributions was I making? But through the community links work and community teams and Danielle's work with me, that's been really, really subtle. We're not going to achieve this by today. We'll achieve it when we achieve it. Right? I've then come to realise, actually, the whole negative element in my life was just a mindset, and I need to retweak it. And that's just the one element. It's absolutely magnificent. You're going on to actually, that was what I would say would be the well-being and the emotional kind of steering and nudging that she was giving me, which, believe you me, is massive. And it's exactly what is needed within that, I think, is to have that, the nudge, the suggestion that's actually really on point. But there was also the physical support, in the sense of, she got me in touch with Sight Scotland veterans. I never heard of them. Right, Sight Scotland veterans got in touch, and wow, they came to the house. They've done independent living assessment. They've been teaching me how to cook without chopping my fingers. It's all about knife skills and stuff like that. Ideas about keeping the house clean as a blind person. They've given me equipments, special task lightings, digital readers, tablets to help me organise my day. That's all great for people that are blind or visually impaired. And they come round. I now use a white cane, so I've had white stick training. I've been put forward for a guide dog, which I hope to get in the next 3 months. All these things, right, started with one lassie saying, can I help you? And that was Danielle. I'm with Sight Scotland Veterans, Blind Veterans UK, the social work department. I'm registered now, severely blind. All of these things are down to Danielle. Now, is that a bit obtuse, me going down that road and saying, well, it's all down to her? But you see, I can reverse, I can do a reverse matrix on everything that's happened, every decision, and I know that it goes back to Dr. Scott saying to me, "Are you okay?" That is pivotal. That one thing was, "Are you okay?" And I actually thought, no, I'm not, and I need to say something here. What she's done is put me in touch with so many different services that have improved my quality of life, both actually, emotionally, everything, right? That I had a big problem with the diabetic unit. Over COVID, we lost touch. And that was a massive thing of anxiety, getting in touch with them, and it was like, ooh, Daniel's like, well, try. And I was like, sorry? Just give it a go. What's the worst thing that could happen? And I was like, after that phone call, I felt a bit of a dummy. I thought, well, yeah, what is the worst that could happen? But it was a massive source of anxiety for me, and I struggle with my anxiety. Danielle taught me how to deal with my anxiety through tapping, which I still do to this day. I was doing it this morning. So there's all these, and again, it's so subtle. And in isolation, you'd think, oh, it's just that. But you see, there's a collective here of constants in every little bit where she's made an influence in my life. And now I'm back in line with the diabetic unit. You know, I'm not frightened to get on a train. I was a prisoner in this house for 3 years. Now, Fridays, I get on a train. I walk through Glasgow city centre with my stick and everything. But what is my motivation? My motivation is I don't want to let Danielle down. Because she's invested so much in me. And she's given me that hope. So everything I do, right, she's like an angel on my shoulder. What would Danielle say? Would she be proud of the fact that I've walked from one train station to another during rush hour? Because of what she's done and the fact that she's been invested in my development, is that my motivation now is not to let her down. The success in your life is the fact that you try. That's the thing. Just try. If it doesn't work, we'll do something else. So I'm not looking for magnificent results. But what I've found has revealed itself to me is that I have value now and that I feel worthy to the point that I'm wanting to take part in the world again. How do you thank a person that took that for you? You've just got to say, right, give me Danielle, but there should be more Danielles all over the place. There are people like me. I've learned through the charities, through speaking to Camlin. In Camlin, they've got the sensory centre. I spoke to some people there, which again, Danielle put me in touch with, just like because of my own ignorance. I was like, didn't know anything. Now, I've got this whole thing about there are people out there like me. And I speak to the guys, the old boys at the centre and that, and how they struggle. Guys that are in their 60s and 70s, and they know nothing about what's out there. And I'm able to say, hang on. From my experience, there is no value you can put on Danielle and what she's done for me. There's nothing. I can't thank her enough. How do you thank somebody that's changed your life? That helps you cope with disaster and the crap that comes with this life. But you just go, oh well, there's always tomorrow. I didn't have that a year ago. I was at a bridge a year ago. They say that Danielle is my community links worker. No, Danielle's Danielle. Amazing woman. Amazing. And if ever there was a person that fits into a role, that's there. More of her. Need more of her. After that phone call within 2 hours, and I know that's unrealistic. That won't happen every time. But after that phone call, I thought, well, somebody's looking to help me here. So I've got to immerse myself in that help. I've got to invest in that help. And the thing is I've just completed a 6-week group therapy course for emotional recognition because I'm going to be getting one-to-one trauma therapy. And everything that Danielle told me, they echoed and reinforced in that 6-week therapy training. But they labelled it and signposted it very clinically and all that. And I'm like, I know that already. I've spoken, I've had that very layman style conversation with Danielle over that. So a lot of things made sense and prepared me. I've had therapies and I've had counselling over the last 30 years, and it's been a short-term fix to a long-term problem. But right now, this is a catalyst to, I know that this is going to be a final solution for me and a coping strategy which will allow me to enrich in my own life. Because everything they said on that emotional therapy thing, some guys are like, oh, it's a lot of shit. No. Think about it. And I didn't say, we didn't have heated conversations, but I was like, hang on a minute here. Role reverse that one, and that will help you understand the plight of your relationship right now and stuff like that. And I was like, God, hang on a minute, I've overstepped the realms here. I'm getting counselled. I'm not counselling people. That's not my job. But it gave me an insight into what's coming. So I now know that I'm on a road to recovery, and I always will be, because the emphasis I have to focus on myself first before I focus on others. Another valuable tool that Danielle's taught me. Yeah, a year ago I'd be like, that's all fluffy rubbish. But actually, no, it's huge. So to have that kind of link it's magnificent. It really is. I can't. It's one of these things that if they don't expand this service throughout Scotland, throughout the UK, then it's going to be a tragedy. It's a tragedy waiting to happen if they don't. Because from my own personal experience, I'm here. I've got a smile on my face that isn't a mask hiding my pain. Because it was always easier to smile and say I'm fine than say, actually, no, I'm not. It's always easier to do that. Because, and I've done it with family members, actually, no, I'm not. And it's like, awkward, then they're off, gone, because they don't know how to deal with it. But I know how to deal with it myself now. And the smile I wear is not a mask, it's a genuine smile, because I'm rich. I am rich with the people in my life and everything we do. Wow. Take your guards down in the right circumstances. And it's like why I've been able to learn so much from the emotional recognition training. Identifying your emotions. Now, this is stuff that you spoke about back in November. Identifying your emotions, accepting them and tolerating them and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that. So when we presented and they said, are you red, green or blue? Blue is completely apathetic about things. On day one, I was apathetic just because I was like a bit cynical about this because I've been down that path before. But I wasn't ready to go down that path before is what I've come to realise. I wasn't ready for counselling. I wasn't ready to be fixed because I had no idea there was something wrong with me. Oh, it's just that. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Step up a lip, man up, all that. No, wrong. I was hiding. And yet, with the stuff that I've learned from Danielle about opening up and being honest, moreover, being honest with yourself. I did my own SWOT analysis, my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, right? And I was brutally honest. And I cried because I actually identified I was a bit of an arsehole to myself. And I was like, right, honesty has got to be a thing here with yourself because otherwise you're never going to go anywhere. You're just going to go in this downward spiral. You're going to stay there. So, of course, when I went on the emotional recognition, they went around, ex-soldier, ex-cop, and there was some guys, prison service, this, butcher, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, so you're a cop with it? For how long? 24 years. All right, okay. Oh, so you've seen a bit, haven't you? Well, you don't really like to talk about some things. It's inappropriate. But then after about the week 3, and I was like, and I opened up about a couple of things, about my parents and my child and stuff like that. And there was one lad, 22, went, I never ever thought I would hear that from you. You're supposed to be a pillar of the community with no feelings and a tough exterior and be able to cope with anything. And actually, what you've come to realise is that everyone hurts, regardless of what you do. But it's how you deal with it thereafter. Some deal with it really well, others don't. For me, it was like my coping strategy has been eroding away over the years to the point about 8 years ago, I was like, wow, this is now becoming tough. The effort of life is becoming really, really tough. So I stopped taking part very, very slowly, very subtly and stuff like that. But having that kind of emotional cooperation between two people, you realise actually when you speak to people that matter and people are there that want to help you, it's okay. You're not making yourself vulnerable. You're just actually being honest and truthful. So being able to then go into another arena, into the paradigm of mental health with the same mindset, it blew people away. And I'm not there saying I blew people away. No, certainly not. But I know that I was doing the right thing to get out of something, what I needed to get out of it. So for me, again, that's now another example of where if I follow I think it was September the 8th or something, you first contacted me. It was like from there, I follow the example of September the 8th and I've never encountered anything negative since. My brother came up from the south of England, my twin brother, and we went to the coffee bothy and I was like, yeah, I'm having a bit of a tough time. And he said, come on, let's go and get a cup of tea and all that. So I put my hand on his shoulder and we were walking through it and he walked me into an old woman, deliberately. And she turned round, right? Now I'm there, dark glasses, white cane, and she's like, Why don't you watch where you're going? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's not my fault. It's his fault. My brother was nearly wetting himself laughing. So we went on the corner and goes, you're going to have to stop doing that. And he immediately walked me into a door. He just couldn't help himself. And this is, and it's like on a Friday. Now, a year ago, I would have been incensed, upset, take me home, I'm not interested. But all we could do was laugh. And I found that my bond with my twin, I mean, we didn't speak for 20 years. I'm in the army. We were too busy doing our own thing. Now we're speaking 3 times a week. And at least one of them phone calls, he's just ripping the mickey out of me. And it's so grounding and it's so much fun to be able to laugh at myself and all my issues and everything and to have a chuckle because you know what? It is what it is. I can't change it. So I laugh about it. What changed in the whole kind of relationship is me. I stopped taking life so seriously. When in fact, I had to take life seriously. Speak to Danielle. Take things seriously about your own well-being. Take that seriously. Take self-care seriously. Not just do you know what? I'll just have a bowl of cereal for me tea. No, give yourself a proper meal. Look after yourself. If you can't look after yourself, who can you help? You've spent a career helping others. Help yourself. So I had to take that seriously, right? But then I realised there were other elements of my life I didn't need to take so seriously. So I consider myself in that kind of bracket of being incredibly lucky and fortunate that the gods were smiling on me that day. It's as simple as that. Is it coincidence? Is it whatever? I don't know. We could talk about that side of life forever. However, through fault or design, I've no idea. I'm not overthinking it because I don't want Danielle to tell me I'm overthinking it. But it happened and I'm blessed. And I didn't ask for Danielle. She offered it and I accepted it. And I'm so bloody glad I did. Right? And the funny thing is, has it impacted other areas of my life? Absolutely. Like you say, with me and Sean, I'm more open with him now. And he's like, right, I'm going to come. He came up from Essex to clean my bathroom. Who does that? The day I retired from the police turned their back on me, right? The day after, I had a captain and a major visit me from the south of England who I served in Germany with in 1987, and I hadn't seen them since. And they got wind because Danielle put me into, it was like British Legion and stuff like that. There was a guy, Peter Carr, came here. He was supposed to be here for an hour, but we served in the same units in Germany. He was here for 5.5 hours. The conversation, the professional conversation we had could have lasted 40 minutes. And the next thing is, I get a phone call out of the blue. Hello, it's Phil. Sir? Phil? Yeah, we're coming up to see you on Wednesday. Go for lunch. They come all that way, took me for lunch, went home. That's the military side of things. That's what Danielle did. I had a major general, a guy called Nick Kaplan, phone me. He's the patron of Blind Veterans UK. Phoned me. It's Nick Kaplan. I'm like, sir? He was my OC, my major, in 1995 when we were both serving in Bosnia together. He was the pilot and I was his door gunner. And he phoned me. A major general. 30 years after the fact. There have been so many. I could sit here probably with 100 factors that have changed since Danielle said, I want to help you. That's all attributed down. When you reverse it back down, it goes down to that lady there. She didn't try and fix me. All she did was stood next to me and held my hand whilst I fixed myself. And that's where the achievement is really, really big. But it's her achievement shared equally because I couldn't have done it without her. Even to this day, I have successes and I want to tell her about it. So I've got to tell Danielle about that. As a professional in that world, I mean, she's the best advocate I can ever dream of. She's the champion. She's my champion. She really is. She's a great girl. And if ever there was a hand that fitted a glove, it's Danielle and that role that she does now. I don't know whether she knows what she's doing. I don't know whether she's been trained to do what she's doing. But what she's doing is absolutely on the money. Perfect. She will have a very, very special place in my life forever because of just how she's conducted herself and everything she's done has been from the heart. And it's, yeah, sorry, How do you thank somebody that does that for you?
You just have.
You know?
You just have. She's here. We're here.
Hello, mate.
I suppose Jack has just took everything like open arms. Like the first time I spoke to you, I think you were quite shocked. Obviously, I had just started the role, which is why I could phone you in 2 hours. I barely had anybody to saw my books, but I phoned you, and obviously you weren't in the greatest place and stuff. And usually when I speak to somebody like that, I'm just trying to I really am just trying to get to know them, get to know bits about their life, their family, what it is they're interested in before they were in the place they were in, what joy did they get out of life. And I think if you can clasp onto that, then you can help somebody change, I suppose, their thought processes. So for you, it was like probably hugely like your daughter. Obviously, you're like an amazing dad and stuff, and that's kind of how we got around to changing Jack's mindset. So it was like, focus on everything you've done so well for your daughter. You've been a single dad, you've helped her grow up, you've helped her get through all those hard stages in life, which a lot of men would struggle with. And like, so what positivities you have brought to your daughter's, like, she's and how she is now is all down to you, and that's your achievements in life. And so when Jack was feeling that he was worthless, he had nothing to give back, well, actually you're wrong, because you've proven with the conversation you've just had about your daughter that you do have a worthwhile, you have gave back, you've made an incredible human being. Gratitude is like a huge thing for me. It's something that I've learned from a family member, and I've took it on hugely in my life, and it's something that I like to pass on to other people, because it is just about changing those patterns, because you build up patterns in your brain to negativity, you build up patterns in your brain to anything. So if you can build up a pattern to your brain to positivity, and it's all about that reinforcement, doing it day in, day out, which Jack has done tenfold, and that is the biggest thing. Not everybody's going to do that. I could give this, and it's not advice, I suppose, it's just tips, like, well, this is what I've used. Do you want to? You can try it, might work, might not, but if you don't try it, you're never going to know. I could, like you said, I could tell 100 people that 10 is going to take it on, maybe less. But the thing is, like, I suppose I probably shouldn't say this, but like, I feel like my job's kind of done. Like, I've like made a difference to one person's life. I suppose I've helped Jack, and it is a two-way street, and it isn't about fixing somebody, it is just about giving a wee bit of guidance and putting them into, because a lot of it as well, so like we're shorter term support, so it's finding that key long term support that's going to work for them, and the only way you're going to do that well is by taking that time to listen and getting to know them and getting to know their life story, and that's things that your GPs can't do, because they've got like 15, not even 15 minutes, like 7 minutes with you. How can they find out about your life story in 15 minutes? They're there to fix a problem, and they do an amazing job, but there's only so much you can do in 7 minutes. And it's about a collaborative team effort. Like, I have done, I think with my GPs, we work so well together. I've just been took in as part of the team. It's been amazing. They trust me with their patients.
And the fact, I mean, going on from there is that it's going to cascade out, because I've learnt so much as well, and I've seen friends in crisis and gone, well, hang on a minute, try that. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not a community links worker. I don't think I would come close to being any good at the job. But if there's, like, I've said to my niece Lindsay, try the gratitude board in the mornings. So it's going to cascade down, and it's going to spread like a trunk to the leaves. It's going to influence a lot of people over time, from one person that's just decided to invest in something, and it's already starting to, because I know that Lindsay does it with her son about gratitude stuff and all of that, and I'm like, flipping it, that was mine. That's my tool. Good morning. Today I thought I'd take you through my thought board and the gratitude element of it and what it's all about. The board I've been using since September, and it's been heavily influenced by the work that Danielle and I have been doing together to make life be easier for me. So, here we go. By way of an explanation, the 5 categories across the top there, that's the things that I'm grateful for every day. I've then got this bit down here, which is a bit more of the sort of like physical side of things, from information I need about buses, and then what we've got here is elements. If I just go over here, this is about the Mariner Centre. I intend on starting to go there. And then some medical appointments and appointments that I have on a regular basis that feature there, from podiatry to ophthalmology, and then the time when Danielle's going to phone in. I review that daily, so I make sure I don't miss any appointments. And then I've got my things to do list and some other just thoughts. So what I do is I start by, I clean off the board and all the gratitude elements of it. So that gets all scrubbed. Okay, even the jobs to do list, I think about this every day. Sometimes I'll do in a bigger list and sometimes I'll do a daily list. Now I've got to call Tom and Laura, so they're 2 calls I've got to remember. So I'll clean it all off. So this is just in its rawest form. Things I'm grateful for. Well, let's find a pen first. Now I use a whiteboard because of my visual impairment. And it's great for just scribbling down in areas. So a couple of things I'm grateful for. One thing I already know is grateful for a lady called Tracy. Tracy was here yesterday. She's the purpose of this video, and essentially she's a videographer that allowed me to actually provide feedback for the service and how good it was and how it's made such a positive turn in my life. So I'm grateful for Tracy. You know, made me actually reflect on things and really learn to appreciate things certain more. And of course Danielle was with Tracy, and again, so Danielle's on there. I'm grateful for Danielle, because again, without her I wouldn't have the thought board, I wouldn't have my gratitude element of it, my things to do and anything like that, and a mind that doesn't suffer too much from negative thoughts. She's taught me about positive pathways, and to see things differently and alternatively, which works well. I'm grateful for my friend Tom, who phoned last night. He's on holiday and he had the acumen to phone last night, make sure everything's all right, and you know I'm doing okay. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful to Laura. Hang on, Laura and 3. That's the 3 kids. They're visiting today. They're coming over and we're going to go do some lunch. And they're the 3 godchildren that I have that are actually tyrants, monsters, but I love them dearly. They're cheeky and they make me laugh. So that's that. And I'm also grateful, as you can probably tell, it's a nice sunny day. So I'm grateful for the summer's warmth. And I intend to go outside today and spend some time in the sun. So that's my gratitude board. Mainly it's dominated by people at the moment, because people are the ones that are making me feel valued and worthwhile in life, and they're making me wear a smile. Other elements I want to do today, well, it's Laura's birthday next week, so I'm going to hint about gifts. So that's part of my jobs to do. What else do I need to do today? I need to phone the TV licence people and the HMRC regarding tax. So that's going to be my board. It's a fairly simple board today, but it's something I do every morning, and it helps me think positive thoughts on the start of my day. So it's fairly blank, but I dare say that'll evolve later on as I think about things. But it allows me to police my own mind monkeys as well. And then busy, unhelpful thoughts, I can write them down and forget about them if they need to be addressed. Or I could just ignore them. But I'll come up here about 2 or 3 times throughout the day and review the board. Sometimes there's changes, sometimes they're not. So I hope that's given you a rough insight into my thought board with everything there. Now I'm going to go get my coffee.